All right, we'll get going. I appreciate everybody being here today. It's an exciting day. Looking forward to this afternoon. As soon as we're done here, I'm actually going to go in the locker room and get out of these clothes and get some tennis shoes on and get ready for this practice. So, again, I think everybody understands the schedule. We'll practice this afternoon in helmets. We'll practice Wednesday in helmets. Then we'll take next week off for spring break and then come back and basically go 4 straight weeks. For the most part, 3 practices a week, with the exception being the first week back, having the practice on Saturday the 23rd, which will be a scrimmage. But it'll be a long spring in terms of we're really maximizing our days, what we're allowed to by the NCAA, and it's going to be a physical spring as well. So I'm excited to get going this afternoon. I know our players are. I just walked by a couple of them in the hallway. They're taped already and ready to go, heading to another class with tape on their ankles and their wrists. So it'll be a fun day. The weather's supposed to be beautiful, and looking forward to a lot of competition starting this afternoon at 4:30. Having said that, I will open it up for questions.
When you say it's going to be a physical spring, is this where you find out who you can really depend on to fall and really put it on?
Yeah, I think the spring is when you can find out. You know, you try to solidify as best you can. You're 2 deep coming out of spring practice. Similar to what we did last year, we're going to come in with a blank depth chart, and I wouldn't be surprised if really we leave spring with it still blank. We've got a number of kids coming in that'll be here in June that are going to have a chance to compete for a number of positions as well. So some of this competition will go into August. But I think, among other things, one thing we've got to do is get tougher as a team. And so that's going to be a big part of the tone that we set here this spring. And, you know, you're limited a little bit in these 15 practices. 3 have to be in helmets. 4 you cannot tackle. 4 of the padded ones you can't tackle in. But the ones that we are allowed to be in full pads in and tackle in, we're certainly going to do that. And it's going to be spirited, lively practices.
What are you going to do to get tougher as a team, you know, and more physical during these practices?
Well, I think, you know, you play how you practice. And when we're in pads and we're allowed, again, by rule, to tackle on those days, in the certain amount of scrimmages we're allowed to have, we're going to take full advantage of those. So it's going to be, and I don't want it to sound like they hadn't been tough or physical in the past, but there's going to be a tremendous emphasis on getting tougher, being mentally tougher, physically tougher, all throughout this spring and summer. It's something we started, you know, right at the beginning of this semester. We've had 4 6 a.m. workouts already the last 2 weeks on Tuesday and Thursday. So it's something we've continued to emphasize, and it's going to get emphasized even more so this afternoon.
What are you most excited about heading into spring ball?
Most excited. I'm excited about a lot of things, and I guess in no particular order. I'm excited about the coaches that we've added to our staff, the energy they bring, the experience they bring. You know, Doug Meacham and Glenn Ellerby on the offensive side of the football have a great track record of success in the places they've been, and certainly in this offensive scheme. David Gibbs and Vernon Hargraves, same thing. You know, a ton of experience. Coach Gibbs been in the NFL 9 years. He's coordinated at Auburn, coordinated at Minnesota at extremely high levels. And Coach Hargraves, the same thing. You know, his track record coaching linebackers is as good as anybody's in the country. So, yeah, I'm excited about the addition of those 4 to our staff and their energy that they'll bring in really the credibility with the backgrounds that where they've been. You know, I'm excited about the guys that we have returning, the players that we have returning. You know, I stood up here a year ago and talked about this past season. You're going to have to buy a game program to recognize some names and some faces. And now we return so many guys that. And certainly they've got to improve, but they've got a foundation, they've got a base of what they've been doing since they've been here. We know what their strengths are, we know what their weaknesses are, and where we've got to get them better at. But to look at guys like Ryan Jackson, Larry McDuffie, Deontay Greenberry, Trayvon Stewart, Tommy Mark, the list goes on and on of the true freshmen that played significantly for us this past season and played at a high level. But since they've been here, haven't been through an off-season weightlifting program, haven't been through a spring practice. So to watch those guys, while we watch them grow over the course of the season, now to watch them really come through that whole cycle of the year, the off season, the spring practice, and then the summer, and go into next fall. I think that's good. That's something exciting for me, seeing all these guys that are returning and to watch them grow on the football field.
Tony, on defense, Coach Gibbs a couple of weeks ago had mentioned that until you get the players on the field defensively, you don't know what you have in terms of whether you go 3-4, 4-3, multiple.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that, this spring will you look at in terms of, obviously you have a couple of spots at linebacker to fill and kind of sort through your D-line in terms of your thinking of which way you do go, or if you are multiple, or if you set on one of those other ones?
Well, we've got I think whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, we've got to get the best players on the field, and we've got to find a way to do that. So, for instance, we take a guy like Eric Island, who came in as a safety, moved down to linebacker, and at the end of the season, we rushed him off the edge against Tulane, and he had a sack, a forced fumble, an interception, a fumble recovery, made a bunch of plays. He's up to 238 pounds. We feel like he's got a chance to be one of our best, most productive players defensively. So where can he play? So he's going to move and play that rush end position. So we'll have a better assessment, at least Coach Gibbs and Coach Hargraves and defensive staff, on exactly what our defensive personnel looks like. But again, players make plays. We've got to do a great job as a staff of teaching them and putting them in position so they can be successful individually, which in turn will make us successful as a unit. And that's something that is going to be critical this spring. And again, even this morning in a staff meeting, we talked about a young man possibly moving him another position. It's something we're going to look at here in the next couple of days. I haven't talked to him, so I can't say his name yet, but I mean, that's critically important, is identifying guys that can move, getting them in the right place, and so they can be successful.
Are you at full in terms of who you have out there? Are you going to have everybody, or are you going to hold anybody out this spring?
No, we don't anticipate holding anybody out this spring. We've got a couple guys that probably will not practice today and Wednesday, so they'll really get this week and spring breaks, another 2 weeks or so to make sure they're healthy, like Charles Sims, Daniel Spencer, Andrew Rodriguez, and Desmond Pulliam came off of surgery. We're going to see what he can do today, but we anticipate him going all spring.
You mentioned, one of the things you're most excited about are the new coaches you brought in. Why was it important for you to bring in some new coaches?
Well, why was it important to bring in so many new coaches? It was, we didn't want to coach with 5 assistants. No, there's a lot of people think very, very highly of our program, of the City of Houston, of the University of Houston program. We made some changes certainly at the end of last season. We made one change early in the season, and I'm excited about those 4 guys. They're really excited to be here, and they had choices as well, as did some coaches on our staff that have been here a year. There were 3 or 4 coaches on our staff that had other opportunities and didn't want to leave here. They really enjoy it here. But I really like the mix we've got now with the 9 full-time assistants. I like their energy. I really like how they've been working together, and I'm excited to see them out there this afternoon. Excited to see the changes that are being made on both sides of the football, and our players are as well.
You've been through a number of spring drills. Did you learn anything last year as the first as a head coach?
Yes, I did. I think as you bring in different personalities, different coaches, different schemes, different ways of doing things, and again, as you say, I've been through a number of different springs, and certainly I have with Tuberville at Auburn, and Sumlin here, and Petrino at Louisville. So have other coaches. So guys have a way of doing things, and in ways that they've seen be successful before. And again, looking back on last spring, just a subtle change of starting a little bit earlier, like we're doing this time around. There's just different things that ways we'll attack things, and ways we will practice that having been through it a year and talked to some of the coaches on our staff, some changes that we've made that'll the players will notice probably more than the fans out there this afternoon watching it, but some subtle changes we're making that I think are going to help us be beneficial to us moving forward.
How excited are you to be moving to the Big East?
Really excited to be moving to the Big East. You know, the schedule is going to come out Wednesday, and it's going to be a challenging schedule. It's going to be one that our coaches are looking forward to, our players are really excited about. I know our fan base is going to really be excited once they see it. And it's a great league, you know, to play Louisville and Cincinnati and South Florida and Rutgers and Central Florida and Memphis and SMU, and it's going to be a challenge, you know. And I'm trying to think in Temple, we're going to play Temple up at their place in Philadelphia, so it's going to be a big challenge for our program, and it's one we're really looking forward to. You know, I think when you look at spring practice, it's more about us getting better and not so much who will be playing. But as soon as spring ball is over, as a staff, we're going to turn our attention to the schedule, especially the early part of the schedule, and make sure we've got game plans set for the month of September and into October. And a lot of new staffs in the Big East, a lot of new coordinators. So it's something we can't wait until the season rolls around to start game planning.
Tony, bringing in Doug, he's run this offense or been around it at Oklahoma State. With him as coordinator, what can we expect? I mean, in terms of schematically, will you stay the same but incorporate some of the things we talked about, like the tight end and the fullback? Yeah,
there's you know, again, the offense he's been involved with at Oklahoma State is one Dana Holgerson brought there from Houston. So a lot of similarities, terminology is the same. You know, that this offense has evolved since Dana left here. A lot of that obviously had to do with Dana, a lot of that had to do with Cliff Kingsbury, and Doug's been a part of that with Dana at Oklahoma State. So it's, again, I think there's going to be a lot more familiarity for our offensive players with what he's bringing here from Oklahoma State. Terminology-wise, schematically, is going to be very, very similar. And, you know, I'm excited to see the creativity that's part of this offense here this spring.
I mean, you talked about a couple of players, and not to single them out, but Trevon Randall was a guy that you were hoping to get last year that he had to sit out, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But you just talk about players like that who you'd like to get a good look at in spring.
Yeah, you know, Trevon Randall's one. Again, he's been here for a year. He had to sit because of the transfer from LSU, but he's a guy, you know, when I talk about last year's signing class, the 2012 recruiting class, and everybody was excited on and after signing day with what it looked like it was a great class. Now that they have been here, you know, again, 9 true freshmen played. We redshirted a number of them. But now that they've been here, we know as coaches that was an unbelievably great class that we signed a year ago. Trevon Randall fits into that. When you talk about what kind of knowledge do you have about a young man, we know of him because he's been in our program. He ran the scout team all year. Defensively, even on offense, he ran a little bit of running back on the scout team at times. And when we scrimmaged every Thursday, he would scrimmage as well. So we know what really we've got in him, and we're excited about you know, what he'll be able to do for us. And he's going to be penciled in as when the first team defense goes out, you'll see him running out there. Is that AC/DC, or what are we listening to over there? Got any IT person in the building here? Can you turn it up at least? Anything else?
Quarterback-wise, I mean, you just kind of talk about what you want to see. Obviously, you've got some guys coming in this summer, but
Mm-hmm.
what's the priority this spring?
Well, this spring we've got David Bram and Rex, and then we've added Calvin Garrett and T.J. Menning to the mix as well. DeJuan Hines came in, you know, wanting to give quarterback a shot, and came to see me last week or so and asked to be moved to wide receiver. So those guys will compete at that position this spring. And, you know, we've got to get more consistent. We've got to build our confidence up at that position. In being consistent there, You know, again, we gotta protect better up front. We gotta catch better on the perimeter. We gotta catch and protect better at running back. So it takes a lot to complete a pass, but we've got to get more consistent in doing that. We've got to make better decisions from that position. And again, I'm confident that we will. You know, we'll have a couple guys join the mix when they get here this summer, June 1st, John O'Corn, Billy Kosh, and Greg Ward, and just see how that position battle plays out over the next few months.
Who do you think will initially take the first team snaps?
At quarterback?
Yeah.
David Pyland will.